Now I know what you're thinking, okay? This dude's crazy, thinking that these Subarus are the greatest enthusiast cars out there. Now hear me out, okay? I promise, maybe I can change your point of view. Maybe I can change your mind. Just give me like 10 minutes of your time, okay? If not, then yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but 10 minutes of your time. I bet you I can change your mind. Now I've owned a lot of different cars over the years. I've had Evos, I've had Skylines, I've had 350Zs, I've had Maseratis, I've had a Golf R, I have a GTI. I've owned a lot of different things over the years. I've had a ton of these things. And the one car that I keep coming back to is obviously Subarus, because I'm obviously making this video about Subarus, saying it's the greatest enthusiast car, and people are probably thinking I'm crazy, but hear me out, okay? I've got my reasoning. Now with being in all of these other like little mini cliques of car enthusiasts out there, I will say that Subarus probably have the greatest community support and community backing for any platform I've found out there. For the most part, I'd say 80% of the community is willing to help, and they're pretty nice, and it's huge. The Subaru community is huge. You gotta remember that the Subaru WRX and STI has been in production for 30 years at this point, uninterrupted, we're including the JDM models from 1992 up until right now, 2022, which unfortunately we don't have the STI in 2022, but we still have the WRX, okay? We're still kicking with that one. We're holding on by a string right there. Now with being in production for damn near, or for 30 years at this point, there has been an insane community backing with these cars, to the point where you've got owners from every facet all over the world, every single generation of these cars, whether it's the GM or the GC, which is the 2-door and the 4-door Impreza that we got here, like the 2.5 RS in the States, or the JDM WRX and STI they got in Japan. We've got the GDs, which is the 02 to 07, the bug eyes, the blob eyes, the hawk eyes, the GRGV, which is the narrow body and wide body version of the WRX and the STI that came out in 08 to 14. And then we've got the VAs, which were 15 to 21, is my money pit right here. And then the new VBs, which is the 2022. Now with having it such a strong 30-year span from these cars that Subaru has produced, you have a huge community support. And with that, you also have a huge aftermarket support. You gotta remember, 30 years uninterrupted is a long time for a sports car to be produced without being totally like axed for maybe even a couple of years. Like if you look at the GTRs, we didn't get the GTRs in the States till what, 2008, 2009, while they got them in Japan from it was 89 to what, 2001. So we didn't even get them here in the States till early 2010, whatever you want to call it, all right? That's like 2009. There's probably a couple other ones out there, but like uninterrupted, it's pretty good. So with that, you have a massive aftermarket support. I'd say that the only other platforms out there with maybe a bigger aftermarket support is the LS series and maybe Civics. I'd say that maybe those two are the only other ones that have a bigger aftermarket standing than Subarus do. And I know some people are gonna be like, but Evos have a huge aftermarket standing. That's disappearing. Like my Evo 8 that I just built and then sold a couple months ago, dude, Evo 8 prices are insane even to get into an Evo. The prices of parts are absurd for OEM and aftermarket. And the community there was like super hit or miss sometimes. Like don't get me wrong, there's fantastic people in the Evo community, but a vast majority of the ones I dealt with were kind of mean. Now, next up, I probably still haven't gotten you quite yet, but give me a little bit more time. I promise you that Subarus are probably gonna be one of the easiest cars you ever work on. Like, yeah, I get it. The first time you go to do spark plugs, it'll probably suck because it's your first time doing it. Doing your first time doing literally anything working on a car always sucks because you're going into it for the most part blind and you don't know what the hell you're doing. But after you've worked on these cars once, I guarantee you, a Subaru is the easiest car you will ever work on. Everything is incredibly accessible. Now, with being super easy to work on and with having such a long-standing history of uninterrupted production cars, Subarus are very Lego-like, okay? And with that being said, you can take engines, you can take parts from one car, put them on another one. For the most part, they're gonna bolt right up. Like this car is the perfect example. My 2017 STI, you guys know, I have a 3.3 liter H6 out of it from an SVX. For the most part, just bolted right up in there. Yeah, I had to notch the subframe maybe a little bit. Bolted right up to the transmission. EJ parts work on this EG. From like my 2017 engine components, some of them bolt right up to this engine. Subaru's very Lego-like. The only other car that I can think of off the top of my head, maybe two, that are very Lego-like is the S Chassis and the older Skylines, because those are pretty interchangeable with the RBs, SRs, KAs, and a lot of the suspension stuff between both of those chassis. Very interchangeable. But for the most part, I get like, there's nothing that immediately comes to mind that's very Lego-like Subarus are. And in my mind or my opinion, I think that's one of the factors that makes this the greatest enthusiast car for people who want to build their own cars. Like, that may not get you quite yet, I got more up my sleeve, but the fact that you can take parts from a 1992 car like we did and put them into a 2017 and make everything work is incredible. Like, I don't know a lot of other platforms out there that you can actually do that with, that will for the most part just bolt right up without like a custom subframe or all this other stuff. Now, I already know what your next argument is going to be. Tanner, Subarus look ugly, I hate the way they look. I guarantee you there is some generation of Subaru out there that you like, okay? We're specifically talking about the WRX and STI, but I guarantee you there's something in the lineup throughout the years that you're like, okay, I like the look of that car. I guarantee it, okay? They don't all look ugly. Some of them do look ugly, I'll give you that. Now, the next thing that I think is really cool about these cars and what makes them one of the greatest enthusiast cars, WRXs and STIs are used in every facet of motorsports. Hill climb. Time attack. Drag racing. Drifting. Autocross. You name it, I guarantee you'll find a WRX or STI there that will be competing doing it. Like, there's rear wheel drive conversion spools for these transmissions where you can just pull out the center differential, pop in a rear wheel drive spool, your car's a rear wheel drive now. These cars are what I refer to as, it's like the Swiss Army knife of car, okay? I'll give you that. Subarus are not fantastic in one motorsport category. They can be made to be whatever you want them to be. They're not great at one single category, especially out of the box, okay? Out of the box, they're not perfect at any category out there, but they'll do okay in pretty much all of them. But that's what's so cool about them, and what I think makes it one of the greatest enthusiast cars is the fact that you can make this into any type of motorsports car you want to, even if it's just a street car. Or a stance car.
Yeah, I'm so scared of you airing it back up.
Guarantee you, there's a category for everyone within these cars. I get it, some people don't like every single category out there, but you don't have to, okay? I'm not telling you what to like and what not to like, all right? You're your own person, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can't deny the fact that they're literally in every single motorsports category. Okay, now let's address the elephant in the room, which is flat engines, because I know there's gonna be people in the comments that say, Tanner, Subarus blow up all the time though. I've seen it on the internet everywhere. Okay, yeah, they do blow up. And there's a right and a wrong way to build Subarus, and a lot of people build them the wrong way. Like, I don't like saying there's a right and a wrong way to build a car, but there is a right and a wrong way to build a Subaru. You build a Subaru the wrong way, you treat it wrong, it's gonna blow up, okay? They're temperamental engines, especially when it comes to modification and tuning. With these cars and with these engines, yes, you do have to tune for pretty much anything that changes the amount of air that enters or exits the engine, and same with the amount of fuel. If anything changes with the amount of fuel that enters or exits, you're gonna have to tune for it. You're gonna have to make a change for it. For the most part, that's with a lot of cars, but Subarus are picky and temperamental about it. But just because you have to, which you should be tuning for your modifications anyways, nobody should be slapping all these parts on there and not tuning them. I feel like it's a pretty common thing to know. But regardless of the fact, yes, Subarus are a little more temperamental in that fact, but no, they don't just wake up one day and they're like, I'm gonna blow up because I'm a flat engine and that's my job. Everything when it comes to an engine failure, it's cause and effect. Like, yes, my first 6-cylinder blew up. There was a cause and effect behind it. The flywheel bolts backed out under vibration. The Loctite didn't hold them in like they were supposed to. Cool, we found the problem, we fix it. It's cause and effect for everything when it comes to an engine failure. They don't just blow up because they want to. Now, the other thing that I think makes WRXs and STIs one of the greatest enthusiast cars out there is they're affordable to get into. Yes, obviously car prices have gone up over the years, but like especially with this generation, the 2015 to 2021 VA, this is the most produced WRX and STI Subaru's ever done. There are a ton of them out on the market. The 11 to 14s, there's a good amount. There's a ton of WRX and STIs out there, okay? You can get them for relatively good deals. Now, obviously, if you go to a dealer and you buy a car from a dealer, it's obviously going to be more expensive. You may be like getting a warranty and all that stuff. Obviously, it's gonna be more expensive going that route, but you can get them for really good deals. Like my 07 STI that I bought as my donor car for my 2001 2.5 RS, I got that 07 STI for like $7,000. They're not insanely expensive to get into. When it comes to modification, they're not as expensive to modify as people may think. OEM parts and aftermarket parts, obviously if you're buying something quality, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to buy a quality part over a cheap part. I say if you're gonna buy something, buy once, cry once versus buy twice. Because if you buy something that's cheaper and it fails, you're gonna have to buy again. You're gonna buy the quality part, you're spending more money. Just buy the quality part first and up front. Save yourself that money later on. You're gonna thank yourself for it, okay? Don't make your future self have a problem when your present self can take care of it. If you don't have enough money for that quality part, save up for a little bit longer. It's not the end of the world. But for comparison, my Evo 8, I guess I should say my old Evo 8 because I sold it recently. Building that car was insanely more expensive to build than any WRX and STI I've ever built. Turbos are more expensive, OEM parts are more expensive, aftermarket parts are more expensive. The entire platform is way more expensive than Subarus are. And I've got massive respect for the people who build Evos because that is an expensive car. when you start getting down to the nuts and bolts of it. Even like DIYing everything like I did, that's still an expensive car to build. Subarus are insanely cheaper. They are really not that expensive to build. At the end of the day, it really comes down to your power goals, what you're gonna be doing with the car and what you want out of it. Like obviously, yes, they do have their problems. Yes, the stock oil pans, the stock oil pickups, they have a little bit of oiling issues. You can easily correct that with some aftermarket parts, okay? I get it. No car or no platform out there is absolutely perfect out of the box. I mean, I'm not gonna say no because there are some that are, in my opinion, absolutely perfect out of the box, but they're unobtainable for the average Joe like me. That's why I genuinely think that the WRX and the STI is the greatest enthusiast car out there. And I know people are gonna disagree with me. They're gonna say, no, this is, no, that is, no, this is. There's a ton of fantastic enthusiast cars. I just think that this is one of the top, I'd say top 3 greatest enthusiast cars out on the market. But now, if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think is the greatest enthusiast car. And let me know why too, so you're not just like, this is the greatest enthusiast car, you. You know what I mean? Just give me a reason why, so that way maybe I can see out of your point of view. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. So if I was able to convince you, hit that like button. If I wasn't able to convince you, but you thought I had a compelling argument, maybe hit that button also if you want. I'm not your dad, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but that is all I've got for you guys in this one. If you like the video, you know what to do. If you dislike the video, then dislike the video. If you're not subscribed and you wanna be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.